Welcome to the Economist in Your Ear podcast. We've all heard the buzz about standing desks, haven't we? For years, they've been pitched as this ultimate antidote to our sedentary lives, a kind of miracle cure for everything from back pain to, a sluggish metabolism. But what if the story we've been told, the sort of accepted wisdom about these office fixtures, is maybe missing some crucial pieces? What does the science really say about their power to transform our health?
That's exactly the question. Our aim today is really to cut through some of the marketing hype, and dig into the actual research, pull out the insights that really hold up when you look closely. We need to go beyond the simple claims and uncover a more nuanced picture of these sit-stand desks.
Okay, so let's start with why people were so drawn to them in the first place. It's this compelling idea, isn't it? That our bodies, frankly, didn't evolve to be hunched over a screen all day. We're built for movement, for activity. And the concerns about sitting too much are very real. Things like increased blood sugar, maybe higher risks for various chronic diseases down the line. So it makes perfect sense why people would leap at standing desks as a potential solution. And the popular claims are really powerful. Better heart health, more focus, less fatigue, improved posture, and especially less back pain. Now, the Economist article we're looking at today, it shines a critical light on these claims. It highlights two key reviews. One is pretty recent, May 2025, by Maria Eugenia Vizier-Alfonso, and that one specifically looked at university students, which is interesting. The other is a broader review from 2019 by April Chambers that one pulled together findings from over 50 different studies across all sorts of workers.
Right. And if we look at what the evidence consistently shows across both of those reviews and other research too, it's pretty clear sit-stand desks do reliably cut down overall sitting time for typical office workers. That part holds up. And that in itself is, a fundamental positive step. What's also kind of reassuring is that these trials, these reviews, they very rarely report serious side effects. You might get some temporary leg or foot aches maybe, but that suggests they're not inherently harmful. So at a minimum, they offer a safe way to change your posture during the day. Now, digging into that Vizier-Alfonso review, the one just on students, a couple of interesting things popped out. They found small but actually noticeable benefits for things like anxiety and mood. That seems pretty relevant for students, right? And one study even hinted at potentially lower blood pressure. But, and this is important for these students, the effect on back pain was surprisingly minimal. It just wasn't consistent across the studies they looked at, which is a significant finding, really, given how often back pain relief is kind of the headline benefit.
Yeah, that distinction about back pain in students, it definitely challenges the common narrative, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. And then if we shift to the Chambers review, the broader one looking at general office workers, the evidence for better cardiovascular health was also, surprisingly weak. Mm-hmm. I mean, sure, people using standing desks, their heart rates were a bit faster, on average maybe 7 to 14 beats per minute more than sitting.
Yeah.
But here's the kicker, as they say. Most studies found no significant differences in blood pressure or VO2 max. That's your body's oxygen efficiency.
Right.
And when you look at those other key health markers, the cardiometabolic biomarkers, things like glucose, insulin, cholesterol, generally no big changes reported in most of those studies either. It seems like just standing there isn't quite the metabolic boost many hope for.
Precisely. And that's a key point. While standing definitely makes your heart work a little harder than sitting, it's just not a huge leap. These big reviews, synthesizing multiple studies, they consistently show pretty inconsistent effects on those cardiometabolic markers. The needle just doesn't seem to move much in a lasting, clinically meaningful way unless the whole setup, the intervention, goes beyond just providing the desk. We're talking about programs that encourage broader behavior changes, things that actively build light movement into the workday.
Be prompted breaks.
Exactly. Prompted breaks, maybe walking meetings, things like that. It really underscores the core message. It's less about the furniture and much more about actually moving.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit more then. Because some benefits are clear, yes, but the story around standing desks often misses these crucial nuances. Like, the Economist article suggests that benefits vary with age. It specifically implies that maybe back pain relief is more noticeable among people past university age, which kind of suggests age itself is the driving factor.
And this is where we need to push back on that framing a little, or at least question it. Yes, it's true, the student-only review had different findings than the mixed-age office reviews, but that difference is much more likely due to other factors, like the setting, a university versus an office, or the specific tasks students do compared to office workers, maybe the amount of time they actually use the desks. It's probably not just age itself. The thing is, we don't really have those gold standard studies, those randomized controlled trials, RCTs, that are specifically designed to isolate age while keeping everything else the same. So yeah, it's an interesting hypothesis, something to look into maybe. But we shouldn't treat it as a settled fact just yet. The framing in the article might be a bit too strong there.
That's a really crucial clarification. It helps with those findings in perspective. So going back to the heart health stuff, the cardiometabolic side, the economist noted, like you said, that the biomarker analyses didn't show much difference. Why should our expectations be so modest there? Why isn't simply standing enough to shift those indicators?
Well, what's fascinating is when you look at the basic physiology, standing does raise your heart rate a bit, sure.
Yeah.
And it burns slightly more calories than sitting. Slightly. Think of it like this. It's a step up from being completely sedentary, definitely. But it's not really exercise. It's not a workout. To get those sustained gains in biomarkers, real shifts in blood sugar control, insulin sensitivity, cholesterol levels, you generally need more dynamic activity. The significant changes tend to come from these multi-component programs that actively weave light movement throughout the entire day. It's not just about having the desk as an option.
It's using it actively.
Exactly. Using it to break up sitting, yes, but also adding things like prompted micro breaks, maybe walking over to talk to a colleague instead of emailing, pacing during calls. The desk is basically a tool, an enabler, but your consistent movement, that's the real engine for change here.
Okay, and then there's the big one, lower back pain. The economist suggests this is where we see notable benefits. This is probably the #1 reason many people invest in these desks, right? So is this finally where standing desks deliver a clear, unambiguous win?
Well, this raises that important question again. Is the relief universal? Is it a guaranteed fix? And the answer seems to be
Yeah.
sometimes. Back pain relief is definitely real for some people using these desks, no doubt about it. Roughly half of the clinical trials actually report what they call clinically meaningful reductions in low back pain or discomfort. But, and this is critical, this benefit typically shows up when people alternate between sitting and standing, not when they try to stand stock still for hours on end. That can just swap back pain for foot pain or leg fatigue.
Right, trading one problem for another.
Exactly, and a lot of the variation we see in the results, study to study, person to person, it often comes down to individual factors, things like someone's specific pain history or even just how well their workstation is set up ergonomically. So no, it's not quite a magic bullet, but it absolutely can be a powerful tool for the right person if they use it the right way.
Okay, so let's bring this home. What does all this mean for you listening right now? Maybe you're standing at your desk wondering what to do. We've talked about what the desks do, what the research really supports. Now, how do you actually use one effectively based on this evidence?
Okay, first, and this is probably the most important practical tip, alternate positions. Don't try to be a hero stander. Standing for hours straight isn't the goal, and it can actually cause new problems like tired feet or legs. A good starting point is maybe aiming for 15 to 30 minutes of standing within each hour. Then you can gradually build up, maybe towards 2 to 4 hours total of standing or light activity spread across the whole day. Using prompts can help set a timer on your phone, use an app, just something to remind you to break up those long sitting spells. Consistency and changing posture, that's really key. Second piece of advice, prioritize movement over perfect posture. I mean, good posture is great, don't get me wrong, but those little bursts of movement are often more beneficial for your circulation, your metabolism, your overall comfort.
Like just getting up for water.
Exactly. Short walks to the water cooler, the printer, the restroom, doing a few calf raises while you stand, gentle stretches, pacing a bit on a phone call. This is where the real difference lies. Focusing on behavior change, not just the furniture itself. The desk facilitates it, but your active choices are what really drive those health benefits. And finally, you kind of need to tailor your approach to your own situation, your profile. So if you're maybe a younger desk user, a student, leverage standing more for alertness, for focus. Use it to break up long study sessions. But don't expect major fitness effects from it alone. The gains are more likely mental, breaking up the monotony. Now, if you're a desk worker who gets occasional low back pain, trial those shorter standing blocks, say 20-30 minutes at a time. Maybe use a foot rail or get an anti-fatigue mat. Those can really help redistribute pressure and see what happens. If your pain decreases over, say, 2 to 4 weeks with that pattern, that's a really good sign it's working for you. That matches where the research sees the clearest benefits. And then if you're someone with known cardiometabolic risks, maybe pre-diabetes, high blood pressure, you'll likely need to be more intentional. Pair the desk with scripted micro walks, like actually plan for 2 to 3 minutes of walking every 30 or 45 minutes, plus maybe one slightly longer, brisker walk, 10-15 minutes sometime during your workday. That kind of multi-component approach is what's linked to better odds of seeing those positive biomarker changes in the research programs.
Right. So if we boil it all down, the overarching conclusion seems to be this. Standing desks are useful, yes, but more as a behavioral nudge. They're not some kind of health panacea, not a quick fix for everything. They're a tool. A helpful tool, perhaps, but just a tool.
Exactly. They do reliably cut down on total sitting time. That's clear. And they absolutely can ease low back discomfort for many people, especially when used for alternating positions and combined with small, frequent bits of movement. But it's really crucial to manage expectations regarding heart health and metabolism. You should expect pretty minimal cardiometabolic payoff from just the desk itself. You really need that brief, regular movement throughout the day to start seeing shifts in those areas. So the key takeaway really is that the context of how you use it, your movement patterns, drives the benefits far more than the actual piece of furniture. It's about creating a more dynamic workday overall, not just buying a dynamic desk.
And that really leads us to a final, perhaps more provocative thought for you, the listener, to mull over. In this age where we're constantly looking for quick fixes, right, through new technologies, new products, the latest fitness tracker, a trendy diet, maybe just a different kind of desk, this whole discussion about standing desks kind of reminds us, doesn't it, that true well-being often boils down to more fundamental things. Basic behavioral changes, intentional movement. It's not always about the tools we acquire. So how might that idea apply to other parts of your life? Your health, sure, but maybe your productivity, or even how you approach solving problems generally.
Thanks for listening. Follow us to stay updated with the latest insights on the economist every day, and don't forget to like, comment, and share.